What if I told you that doing more exercises is actually killing your muscle gains after 40? I'm Rio and I help men over 40 transform their bodies with minimalist training. Most of them come to me frustrated, stuck, and spinning their wheels. They've tried everything, but nothing works. The fix is doing less, not more. In this video, I'll show you 3 reasons why doing less builds more muscle after 40 so you can finally build the body you've been chasing for years. The first reason is intensity. And so at the most fundamental level, to build muscle, you need to train hard. And training hard just means pushing your sets close to failure. But the problem is that doing too many exercises and sets dilutes your effort. It spreads you thin. And so a lot of men do a lot of volume, they do endless exercises and sets in their workouts, but they just go through the motions on all of it. They leave 3 to 5 reps plus in the tank on every single set that they do, and they never really push it that hard. They never do justice to any of the exercises that they're doing because their effort and focus is so watered down and spread thin. And so Arthur Jones, who was one of the pioneers of effective weight training, who's also the mentor of Mike Mentzer, had a famous quote that I repeat in almost every single video because it's really the cornerstone of my training philosophy. He says you can either train long or you can train hard, but you can't do both. And so what he understood was that there's a trade-off between volume and intensity, or in other words, how much training you do and how hard you train. So if you do a lot of volume and you train long, you can't train as hard, again, because your effort and focus are being diluted. But if you flip the script and you do less volume, so you reduce the number of exercises and sets that you're doing and you keep your workouts brief, you can train much harder because you're not diluting your effort and focus. You can put a lot more intensity, a lot more focus, a lot more effort into the exercises that you're doing. And that is always the better path to choose because effective training is not about quantity, it's about quality. 2 hard sets done with extreme effort will always beat 5 half-assed sets where you're going through the motions. Or doing 1 exercise with serious effort will beat doing 4 different exercises for that same muscle with half-assed effort. Quality always beats quantity when it comes to weight training. The actual duration and quantity of your training is actually irrelevant. What matters is how hard you can train, how much effort, how much focus you can put into the sets and the exercises that you do. And fundamentally, in order to do that, in order to train hard, you have to do less. By the way, guys, if you want my help building a personalized twice-a-week training plan, plus the accountability to actually follow through and access to an exclusive community of like-minded men over 40 following the same approach and supporting each other, that's exactly what I do for my clients beyond these videos. So if you're serious about getting real results, click the link in my description below, watch the free video training, and book your free call with me. All right, let's get back to the video. The next reason is recovery. And so if you do too much, you won't be able to recover between workouts. And so many guys are still stuck in the mindset that more is better. They think they need to train more to gain more time in the gym, more weekly workouts, more sets, more exercises. That's what they think it takes to build muscle. But that is complete bullshit. And honestly, this is a widespread belief in our society as a whole. Work longer hours, get a bigger paycheck, study more, get better grades. But you can't carry that mindset into weight training because weight training is incredibly strenuous. And we have a limited ability to recover from that strenuous training. And so it is for that reason that more isn't better, but less is actually more. And so something that a lot of people falsely believe nowadays is that you have to annihilate yourself in your workouts. They think you need to go as hard as possible, do as much as possible, and absolutely destroy yourself. People think like if they don't finish their workouts absolutely fucked, it means that they didn't have a productive workout. But that is actually a recipe for disaster because if you annihilate yourself, you won't be able to recover between your sessions. And you need to be able to recover between your workouts in order to actually make progress. So the goal when it comes to weight training is to stimulate, not annihilate. You want to do just enough. You want to do the minimum effective dose required in order to create an adaptation to stimulate growth, but then get out of the gym, rest, recover, and then come back a little bit bigger and stronger. Right? Because if you just stimulate, you'll be able to make that full recovery between workouts. And by the way, this is why my clients see such great results. Before a lot of my clients come to me, they're completely overtrained and they're stagnant. They're not seeing consistent increases in their strength workout to workout because they're basically always unrecovered. They go into their workouts completely destroyed because they're in that mindset that more is better. But when you flip the script and you start approaching your training from a mindset of like, just stimulate, don't annihilate, you'll make way better progress because you'll be able to make a quicker recovery between the sessions because you're doing less. right? So a lot of people, because of this more is better mentality, just add a bunch of junk volume into their routines. They do a shit ton of exercise, shit ton of sets, and they can't recover from it. And so you can only ever grow from what you can recover from. So a lot of people actually just train way beyond their recovery ability. A lot of people are in essence just wasting their time in the gym. So this is why less is more, because your recovery ability is limited. You cannot recover from that much. And so you want to train within your recovery ability. The goal is to stimulate, not annihilate. If you annihilate yourself, you're training way beyond your recovery ability. You won't be able to recover between sessions. And that's what leads people to be stagnant for long periods of time. The third reason is exercise selection. And so when you limit the number of exercises that you do in your workout routine, it forces you to cut the fluff. When you do fewer movements, you're forced to choose better ones and focus on the exercises that matter most. That makes a massive difference in most guys' training routines, because a lot of guys, they just throw in a bunch of fluff and they're doing a bunch of unnecessary bullshit. I see a lot of workout routines of guys over 40 before they start working with me, and I see what they're doing previously, and there's just so much fluff. There's so much unnecessary stuff going on. You know, like every exercise in your routine has to earn its place. You should be able to make a compelling argument for why you include a given exercise in your routine. It's just like cooking a meal. Like when you cook a meal, you have certain ingredients that you intentionally use in order to make that meal. You don't just grab everything in your kitchen and fucking throw it into the meal. Like maybe sometimes that works and the meal is good, but like most of the time you're probably just gonna end up with a fucked up meal. It's the same thing in weight training. You can't just throw in endless shit and just expect to have a great workout routine. It needs to be intentionally crafted. Each exercise should serve a specific purpose. And the moment you start adding fluff, you start creating a crappy workout routine because it's diluted, it's watered down, it's not focused. And so a lot of you guys might be worried about like missing muscles and developing weak points by doing so few exercises. But when you choose the best movements, when you're forced to focus on the ones that actually matter most, which are the big compound lifts that actually work a lot of muscle in your body, you'll hit everything. That's the beauty of focusing on the biggest movements as well, is that when you do focus on these big foundational compound exercises, you develop very few weak points because your body grows as a whole, right? So that's the third reason why doing fewer exercises is more productive. It forces you to focus on the ones that actually matter, and it creates a more effective and potent workout routine because you're not just throwing in a bunch of fluff and watering down the routine.